The Pinball Network is online. Launching.
Off the Record, Pinball Podcast.
Tom, you hit the button?
I hit the button.
We're doing it, guys. This is my name's Joel. I'm here with Travis and Tom, and this is the On the Record, Off the Record TPN #1 podcast. #1 in your hearts. #1 being episode #1. And yeah, that's how you do an intro, guys. Yep.
Perfect. So we are officially already within 15 seconds. We're already the #1 podcast on TPN. Did I hear that right?
That is correct.
Number one off the record podcast, but we are on the record.
But we're on the record, but we're off the record.
Yeah.
I think we're on the record, though.
Setting records.
Okay. Well, Zach's going to love this name. We're killing it. And we haven't even told Zach we're doing this yet, have we?
We have not.
No.
Oh, man. Papa Zach doesn't know.
There was a little discussion about it, and I said, I'll get Travis to do it.
Dude, I just want on the Discord. I'll be honest with you. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm using you two to get on the Discord. I hear it's lit.
I mean, you could be doing this all on yourself, but you drug us into it, is what I mean.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
You're not missing much.
So the sad part of is people have clicked this and are now listening to this. And so the reality is the three of us had a Facebook conversation going on in the background and decided, let's do it. Let's make a podcast. We just spent about 45 minutes not only trying to figure out how do we actually do this together, because we all just record our own stuff normally, and now how do we play well with others? And we're also trying to figure out a name, which I think we nailed with On the Record, Off the Record podcast.
Absolutely.
And we tried to figure out what's the point of this. Verdict's still out on that, but we thought, why not chat it up? And I think there's a little bit of news we can talk about. So let's dive in.
Yeah. Well, the big thing is we had to make sure Tom reined in his ginormous ego too. I mean, freaking prima donna up in Wisconsin. He was telling us how this podcast needs to be, what we need to use, what we need to talk about. We're all like, Tom, okay, we'll do it.
Yeah.
So everything you hear, it's Tom's idea. I'm just putting it out there right now.
Yeah. It was like 3 to 4 pages of notes before we even started. It was
I think so.
It was a lot.
I
don't even know how I got roped into this.
Well, it's because you said you admire Dennis so much on the pinball show that you're auditioning to take a spot. That's what I heard.
I was trying, but
I think you heard me say how much I admired Dennis. I don't want to take his spot though. I just want to be.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. You did want a compliment from Dennis, didn't you?
Everyone needs a role model, and I think we all know Dennis is it.
What did he end up complimenting you on?
He said I had some clean, crisp emotes in Twitch.
Really?
Yeah. That's what he did.
He didn't compliment your podcast or anything? It was just about your emotes on Twitch?
I don't know. I was done at that point. I got my compliment. I was grinning from ear to ear, and I've been riding it ever since.
I think we need to talk about how much Flipping Out Pinball and TPN is paying us to do this.
Yes.
That's true. Well,
yes,
not
absolutely.
yet. They will.
No.
We have to get in to get the paycheck.
Well, we got to clear up the rumors, because a lot of people have been talking about shilling and stuff like that, and I would just like everybody out there to know that, if anybody wants to give me free pinball machines, I will shill the hell out of your product for sure.
Bye.
Ditto.
Yeah. I mean, except for Thunderbirds, I will not shill that game. But any other game, I'm good.
Yeah. No, I think it's fair. I mean, I think if you're creating media in the pinball industry, you should be getting free stuff. Clearly.
Right? You hear that, Stern? I've done like 10 Mando videos. I know you guys are listening.
Well, the problem is you haven't done a Mando podcast yet. So today's the day.
Well, technically I have. I've done like 5, I think, right?
Well, you have some podcasts that aren't even out yet, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, it's just me talking to myself. So, Well, yeah, apparently so popular that my wife is like, "What the hell are you doing talking to Tom and Joel late at night?" I'm like, we're plotting.
She's jealous.
Reply, yeah, exactly. Exactly. Okay, so let's just get straight on it then. Since Stern's going to send us all Mandos now, I mean, we've talked this out. Just makes sense. So, yeah. So, Mando, what do you guys think?
I'm flipping it already.
What? I was supposed to say you got an LE. Oh, geez.
No, I'm just kidding about that. Actually.
Great. Send all the hate mail to Tom. Fuck cities.
Well, Tom, I mean, I think it is somewhat of a legit question. I mean, like we are three different, I'm a pro buyer. That's what I can afford. That's what I do. Tom, you own multiple LEs. I know Travis, you've dabbled with everything.
I don't own that many LEs. Everybody thinks I own all these LEs.
You only have to own two.
I think I own more pros than LEs, actually.
Joel, he owns two in each room.
There you go.
That's what it is.
You just have to have two to be multiple. So multiple LEs. But you are in, Tom. You are in on an LE of Mando. Yes. And as an LE buyer, when you're seeing games, this game hasn't even been streamed yet, and you're seeing games already selling for absurd amounts of money. That's got to be tough for you.
I think it's crazy. I mean, I don't know how anybody could just not even play a game and go, all right, well, I'll throw 1,500 or 15,000, excuse me, at that.
It's the power of the Grogu, man. That's what it is. That Grogu doll that's in the pinball machine, it's making everybody go bonkers.
And you look on Pinside, I mean, the Mando thread, there are people hopping in like, hey, is there any chance any distributor has a LE out there? I got a buddy who's a huge fan. It's like, there's people just now figuring this out. And I don't know. It's crazy. I mean, I've never been in that position where I have something of value that people are clamoring after, but that's got to be pretty cool.
The only game I can remember that's even close to being like this was Metallica. So when Metallica came out, it seemed like everybody wanted that LE. Everybody saw the toy, the Sparky toy, and just like went nuts.
And see, now 2021, if somebody saw a Sparky toy, they would say, "Oh, there's nothing in the game at all."
Yeah.
Oh,
why don't his legs move?
Yeah, they'd be like, "Why doesn't Sparky actually electrocute your ass? I don't get it."
That's a valid point, but I don't know. I mean, I think it's pretty cool. I mean, congrats first off, Tom. Congrats on getting an LE.
Thank you.
I'm excited for you. I hope it looks. I mean, I know mirrored back glasses are hard to photograph, so I hope that looks amazing in person. Travis, I know you're in on what? You're in on a premium, or what are you in on? Are you in on something?
Nothing yet. I'm waiting. So my plan was to wait until the reveal because I was mainly waiting to see who coded it. Because I was actually, if Lonnie was going to be on code, I knew for sure I was going to wait 6 months to 10 months to get it. And that's mainly because, historically speaking, most of his codes take a few months to finally start fleshing themselves out. Okay. And I did not want to get another game in here in which the code was not ready to go from day one. Because otherwise, I mean, Joel, I don't know if you've heard about this before, but I play a little bit of pinball. And I like to get the wizard mode.
You dabble.
Yeah, I dabble a little bit. I dabble in pinball.
You don't like waiting for the wizard mode to be done?
Oh, gosh. So here's the thing. Let's talk about that for a second. A little bit off track. So I got Rick and Morty, or I had the chance to play it at the very beginning of its run, basically in March of 2020, before everything shut down. The arcade nearby got like game 22 or something like that. And in less than a week, I got to the end of the game and there was no wizard mode or anything put in. And so for me, it was a lot of fun experiencing the different modes getting there. But then it was just a real empty feeling that you did all that work and you get to the end and then there's just nothing there yet. And so for me, that took away some of the enjoyability. Is that even a word? That needs to be a word. It's not.
It works.
Okay. So I'm going to go with that. Okay. So my enjoyability went down a little bit. So I was kind of thinking in those terms, what if this happened the same way? Because Lonnie did Stranger Things and he did Guardians. And we all know that both of those pins, when it first got released, they just got destroyed about the code, and rightfully so. It just wasn't ready yet. And so that was my biggest worry. Now, obviously, with Dwight, I'm fully expecting it to be a little bit more, I guess, day one ready would be the proper way to put it, because Ninja Turtles was like that for the most part at the house. And so now that I see that, I'm probably more apt to be in on a premium eventually. I just don't know if I'm going to be in on the first run. I think I might be in on the second run, most likely.
So your worry is because once a pinball machine enters your house, you're going to play the heck out of it. And the last thing you want, though, is to plow through the game over the course of a few days or however long and get to an end and there be no end, right?
Right. Right. So with Ninja Turtles, there was an end already. Yeah. So believe it or not, you're going to hate me, Joel and Tom, but I got to the wizard mode on game 1.
No,
Cowabunga.
Yeah, well, no, I take that back. I got the final battle.
I was going to say.
And then I missed Cowabunga by 1 April Hurry Up. But it was still coded in, though. You know what I mean? It was there day 1, so it gave me something to go for. And then Avengers, I got to the end of that within like 30 games. So luckily L1 coded it in there. And the same thing with Led Zeppelin. Within about 25 games or so, I made it to the final wizard mode, which I won't say what it is on here. But Tom, you've experienced it. You have a video out of it. And it's so stuff like that is a lot of fun. And to me, I want those things to be coded in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it wasn't even Celebration Day, I just said it right there. Okay.
Nice.
Spoiler alert. Yeah. Thank you for that. It was the top of the chart. So yeah, even then that one wasn't coded in yet, even at the beginning, but at least there was a wizard mode close to the end. And
so is pinball even like fun for you when you beat a game in 30 minutes?
It's so much more fun. If you can play pinball decently, you know, and Tom knows this because Tom's pretty good. And Joel, you know this because I know you run into shots from time to time. But this is the biggest thing. So my biggest gripe when people talk about code and they get worried about the coder and stuff like this, it's like, you know, a lot of people saying that they don't even have the skill set to get to the end of the game anyways.
True.
So it's like, what are they really complaining about? And it's kind of like the Munsters, for instance. You'll hear a lot of people talk bad about the code, and somewhat rightfully so. But the other flip side is I'm not even convinced that people complaining about the code could even tell me what to do on ball 1. And so it's kind of like this thing, though, to where these games, they become infinitely enjoyable whenever you fully understand what each shot does and you start to appreciate the geometry of it and you work different ways to get to the end of the game. So I enjoy that a lot. And it's just one of those things that it's very hard for something to get boring if you see all the fun in it and the fun aspects of which direction to go. Like, does that make sense with what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, I think, like, obviously you're a huge fan of Avengers, and I think Avengers, one thing it does incredibly well is because you have so much freedom and to do with the gems, you could beat that game so many different ways and score so many different, like, there are just so many options. It very much is a choose your own adventure kind of game. And I think that works really well for you and your skill level and your collection. It makes sense. Ray Day, Keith, you know, coding that game makes complete sense. While there are a lot of other games that are a lot more linear, and those are the ones I am curious about when it is kind of clear, you know, there really only is kind of a very direct way to work through the game. You know, are those types of games still enjoyable for you when you can do that every single time? Is that a fair question?
Yeah, I mean, I think, Tom, what do you think? I think they're still enjoyable, even if the rule set is very linear.
Yeah, I mean, there's not too many linear games out nowadays, though.
Well, I think what we're getting at is, because Joel and I we were talking about this the other day with how Dwight codes are. I think from a tournament standpoint, a Dwight code becomes very linear in the sense that there's usually one very specific way.
Yeah, one path to get points.
Right, to milk all the points out. And this was the take I was coming up with when we were talking about coders with games and stuff like that. With Dwight, his games are probably my least favorite modern games to play in a tournament. But yet his games at home are probably some of the most fun I have when I'm going for a wizard mode, because I have a reason to go after every shot or go, explore the play field without really worrying about points too much. I mean, up to a certain point, if you have to cash in a certain amount of jackpot or something like that, which even then, off the top of my head, I can't really think of anything with Dwight that he does that in particular. Like even the Turtles, I guess it's collecting the Super Mondo jackpots or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's still a little bit of progression you got to make, but I love Dwight codes at the house. Like if I have to explore a full game and just play for a wizard mode, the codes are a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the way that I look at it.
100%. I think Dwight he's known for his moments and coding moments into the game. And I don't think, I doubt, I mean, I'm not a tournament player, you guys are, but I doubt you're like enjoying a pinball moment in the middle of a tournament. You're probably a little more focused on, cradle up, be safe, what's the smart next shot kind of thing. But at home, between his light shows and what he codes in with the progression of the story, that's the one thing, listening to him being interviewed on the Super Awesome Pinball Show, like, I mean, he talked a mile a minute and you can tell how excited he is, but it is very clear, like they have a ton of video, they have a ton of assets. It seems like every single mode you are actually working through a storyline, you're working through a moment from the show. And to me, I feel like you are Mando. That's who you are in the game. And I feel like it sounds like it's going to be coded in a really good way to like experience these different scenes and these different events. And as a wizard mode type player, that's what I strive for. It doesn't mean I ever get there, but like that's what I want to experience over and over and over again. I care way more about that than a super jackpot. Personally, I know that's different from you guys.
No, for sure. I mean, even in Mando, it looks like that there's several wizard modes built into it from just looking at the inserts on the playfield, right?
Yeah, and I know when they were. When they're talking about the code, I know they're talking about, it's like, well, you have the three different ways to get a playfield multiplier, so you get a additional 1x per time. And for me, I'm like, all right, but I know you guys, like, assuming you're already strategizing in your head of like, how do I get that going? How do I keep that going? That kind of thing.
Oh yeah. Well, Tom and I will have that. Well, I don't know about Tom, but I would have that figured out by day one, because the reason why. So I got this weird habit. I don't know if you do this, Tom, Joel, I don't know if you do this either. When I get a pin, I like to, at least within the first 48 hours, take the glass off and see what everything does. Like I like to know what switch does what shots lead to where. And I just kind of like looking over it. And that's what I do that with my son, Carter, who's my middle son, all the time. He's just 10 years old, but he loves just taking the ball and just seeing where the different shots lead to. And just by doing that, I get a better idea of how to approach a pin from the very beginning, because obviously with the modern pin, the layouts are much different than a solid state and even some early 90s. And it's nice to get a chance to get accustomed to a pin that way. And that's a large part why I like getting a new pin, is just being able just to explore different ways and just see a whole different world that you otherwise hadn't seen up until that point.
Yeah, I need to do that more. I typically don't do that. I just shoot at will and just try to find the shots and kind of explore the game that way.
Just grip and rip it.
Yeah,
pretty much.
I take the glass off to put the balls in, and that's about it. And then we let her go. But to me, I'm all about that progression. Like just do that story. Like let's work through that story. And that's something that I know, I know Zach is a huge Dwight fan, because like he loves Star Wars. So many people don't like Star Wars because of the pin. They don't like Star Wars because of, the 40 times playfield multiplier. It's like, but Zach doesn't care about that. He's talking about the moments and what all you can do in Star Wars. And Turtles is very similar. It's got some really cool moments and progression throughout the game, but I don't think it's the strongest tournament game. So I'm personally, Mando, what I'm seeing, I'm really excited about as a home player. I'll be very curious to see how well it stacks up in a competitive world, between you two. I don't know you guys may both beat the game in a week. I have no idea.
Travis,
yeah,
Travis will, I won't. But
okay.
One thing I really respect about Dwight Sullivan is none of his games feel the same to me. like code-wise. Ghostbusters doesn't feel like Game of Thrones, and Game of Thrones doesn't feel like this game. I mean, he just seems to, do a lot of different things.
Yeah. Well, he did say in his interview that one thing he really likes is RPG type elements, like improving or building your character, or choosing a different path, or having different perks, kind of thing. Obviously, I think Avengers did that really well with the stones, but with Mando, they're talking about the basically being able to sell your Beskar and buy power ups and buy upgrades. I think that could help a player like me get through the story to get further in the wizard mode. But for you guys, I think that could be there's probably going to be some really cool strategy with that. Like, hey, let's try to gain this amount of money so that you can get this particular perk and carry that into this particular mode, and then you have a better chance of blowing it up. I think there could be some really cool stuff there.
So I'm guessing that's pretty much how he's going to code it then, is taking the Beskar armor and you just use it to adjust your modes accordingly.
I know. I mean, I think he already said in one of them that there are different. Like Mando, you can get like the rifle, and that means it gives you a certain perk. Or like one of them was the whispering, or it's his little shooter that shoots out all the different like missiles all at one time. That essentially, if you buy that upgrade, it basically gives you like a super bomb, so you could get all the shots in one hit of the action button. So it's certain things like that there are different weapon upgrades that basically give you shots. Or give you the ability to do certain things, which could be huge. Yeah.
So then I wonder, do you get to pick the weapon that you're going after or trying to collect? Or is
I think it's like a score. Like you hit the scoop, if you can hit the scoop. I know, Travis, you're terrified of the scoop. But if you hit the scoop, apparently you do. I think it sounds like it's more like you're in the store, you probably flip through with buttons and you select what you want to buy, that's what I'm thinking it sounds like.
I hope that's right, because that actually sounds awesome. If I can make a decision to get something and then have to earn that, or at least make a decision that this is what I want, and then either I want to be able to do something on the playfield to earn that, though. I don't want to collect like cash or whatever and then buy it from there. You know what I mean? Like I want to select here, this is what I want. I want the rifle, and now I've got to hit like 4 other shots to collect my rifle. That's what I really hope it would be.
Well, he did say that there are it sounded like there would be like certain hurry ups, or there were certain modes or something that you can pursue, that in that mode, the only reason you would do this hurry up is because he said there were different times in the actual show that Mando is actually just doing a job to get money. And so he said there are certain parts of the game where you're just doing something to get money. So maybe that's it, where it's like, all right, I'm going to do this hurry up real quick because it's going to give me this X amount of Beskar, and then with that, I can hit the scoop and grab this weapon. But he kept bringing it back to Game of Thrones. Apparently, in Game of Thrones, there's like a gold type aspect that you can buy perks. Does that? Right. I don't play or haven't played Game of Thrones much, so it sounds like it's similar to that.
Yeah, in Game of Thrones, you can basically use your gold to buy things. You can advance the wall multi-ball. You can start video mode, certain things like that.
And you're selecting that with the flippers?
Yes.
Yeah. So that would be my similar thought. Once, when you get in the scoop and you're in the store. But Travis, go ahead. I know this has kept you up at night, but what is it about this scoop that you're just terrified of?
The posts, they're not symmetrical leading into the scoop. So that tells me, like, if I try to do a forehand and I'm early, like from the right flipper, and I hit that post off the that's right up against that ramp, that means the ball's just going to go crazy out of control. And I don't like being out of control. It's just the thing with scoops that I've never really enjoyed is that you have to be just dead on all the time, right? There's no rattle or anything like that. But I'm just not generally a fan of stopping the gameplay with the scoop.
It honestly looks like an easy backhand from the pictures.
Oh yeah, no, it's backhand all day. It's just, I think that's all it's going to be. I think anytime you're on the right flipper, the meta is going to turn into just post pass over to the left and then just backhand it from the left-hand side.
Yeah, Tom,
the-
but sometimes easy shots for some are really hard for Travis. So this might be it.
Is this a reference to the hermit target?
I just made a comment. That's all I made. If that's what comes to your mind, that's on you, you know?
Fair enough.
No, I think it's funny because I don't care about scoops. I think to me, I like a scoop. It gives me a chance to breathe or collect my thoughts, you know. But I know like Keith is completely against scoops. Like none of his games have scoops because he doesn't want to slow the game down, right? So it's an interesting.
I don't know, that portal on the premium is a pretty big scoop.
That's a valid point. Yeah, it does slow it
And
down.
there's a mystery scoop on the premium too. So I think
that's a VUC though. Like that leads to the VUC.
Of course.
And that's what I would like to see. If it has a VUC, I don't mind it. But if it's just a scoop and then the ball just comes out, like I don't know. I've never found that to be, what's the word? What's the word that Dennis does not want me to say ever? Was it
Is it satisfying?
Yeah, it's not kinetically satisfying.
Yeah.
Like it just I don't know. It just doesn't do anything to me. Like if I have a ball launching back at the flippers, I want it to be like the War Machine shot or the Rocket Raccoon shot.
Dude, that's
on
the
Guardian.
scoop. That's the scoop in TNA, man. That
Like,
thing launches back out at you.
Yeah, see, I don't mind the scoop on TNA necessarily, just because it does launch back at you. Like I want the scoop to actually fight back, is what I want. It just seems like it's just, I don't know. You hit it, nothing really happens except for whatever the game determines to happen, right? The ball just kind of just chills there, and then it just kind of just, you know, peters out to your flippers. And I don't know. It just doesn't, it's not fun. Like for me, that's a big part of Guns N' Roses, for instance. And that's not fun for me, that the ball just gets fired back at me half the time on that game, you know?
So
and
if the scoop on Mando is the store, you want the guy to like physically kick you out of the store after you bought your upgrade.
Yes.
Like,
I
get
want
out.
that mofo to be angry that I bought his rifle. Yes.
Yeah. Oh boy.
I'm just going to
All
crank it up all the way.
Yeah, turn up the power.
Maybe that's a question. I the only coil in any of my sterns that I've ever adjusted is the trough eject. I turn that down. Otherwise, I leave all the coils, I leave all the slings, I leave everything, whatever it is. Is that smart of me or am I dumb? Should I be adjusting things?
No, I think that's right. That's what I do. I mean,
pretty-
sometimes I'll make the slings more sensitive if I wanted to play closer to like stern circuit levels, but
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. Well,
you know, Joel, you would know this if you played tournaments.
yeah, but I like to enjoy pinball. I don't want to hate
Oh yeah,
myself.
I forgot. All of us tournament
Yeah,
players were just
I've-
joyless figures.
Yeah,
standing
we
in front of
never
machines.
enjoy it.
No, what scares me about playing in tournaments is one, the time commitment, and then two, I feel like I'd get hooked, and then I'd want to travel, and it's just like
Wait, hold up.
It's
You
fear,
said
the fear of enjoying it.
Yeah,
You fear the time commitment? Is that what
I fear the my free time is so limited right now that I'm wasting it talking to you fools right now, but it's yeah, I mean, to be honest, the idea of going to play a 6-hour tournament on a Saturday sounds amazing, but trying to schedule that out with my wife is.
I think Tom's right. Tom, you're right. Joel fears fun. That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what we discovered.
Well, everybody thinks a tournament is you wait in line to play a game, and that is not every tournament. I mean,
No,
yes, those
that's
are
just
some
one particular.
tournaments, but they're very few and far between. Like, yeah, you might go to a show and you might see a tournament where people are waiting in line to play a game, but certainly not going to happen at District 82. I can tell you that much.
No, chill. No,
It's fun though. Like the Herb tournaments are fun, and if you're good enough, you don't have to stand in line too often. You might just stand in line like Carl D'Angelo for all of 10 games, or you might be like Escher Lefkoff and stand there just for a few games, or even I think even Jared August, didn't he at Indisc, Tom? He came up and he qualified like on his first card or something like that. So I mean,
could be. There are a few people like that, but
yeah, so it's not, I mean, if you guys hear that tournaments is just standing in line, it's definitely not that at all.
no, I have full confidence that I would thoroughly enjoy it, But what I'm learning is I'm outnumbered in this conversation, so I should not say anything negative about tournament or competitive pinball. That's what I'm
Never.
hearing. No,
Never.
it looks like a ton of fun, and I'm nothing but jealous. Watching Tom's streams and seeing all the different tournaments and watching you guys play. It looks like a blast. But I'm just a random thought that did pop in. I did see, Travis, you did actually in our Facebook conversation, you made a comment about the upper play fields, and obviously in Mando on a pro, it's just one flipper, and it's built in. It's the main. It doesn't move. It's just part of that play field. And then you got the premium, which looks nuts. But you made a comment. I think you think the pro one looks more enjoyable. I mean, what, you want to expand on that at all?
Yeah, well, it's just one of those things that, okay, so on the pro playfield, I'm assuming everybody listening to this knows exactly what we're talking about. But on the pro playfield, since it's static and it's one flipper, I like the idea of just having one flipper better than the two big flippers. The playfield moving up and down, that part I really don't care too much for. It's just kind of like whatever. I mean, it adds a different, I guess, a nuance to everything, but it's not make or break for me. But I do love the idea of a single flipper being switched out to one of those smaller micro flippers like you see on Simpsons, or what other game would have a micro, basically any game that has a micro flipper. So for me, I see that as an opportunity to change the game and kind of change the way that it acts up there. And I just personally think I would have more fun under those circumstances than I would with two full flippers and the playfield just moving up and down. Because honestly,
yeah, but you could change the flippers on the premium too.
Well, yeah, you could, but even then, and that's one of the things that I was thinking about doing also. But my fear is then how good would that work if you had the two mini flippers while the playfield, or that mini playfield's moving up and down and moving everywhere and becoming to like a big incline. I don't know if that would be fun or frustrating after a while.
So you're afraid that the playfield is potentially, whether it's single flipper or double flipper, is potentially going to be too easy. Because I know on the pro, that post that's opposite the flipper is adjustable. So you could make the gap there bigger if you want it. So instead of making a smaller flipper, you just make a bigger gap for it to eject.
Right.
Or I know Dennis has already said in the code he has full intentions of making it, like flatter in certain. This is the premium LE, making it flatter so certain shots are easy, and then it'll ramp up, and then it'll be way harder. So I think I'd be curious if it's almost like a bucking bronco kind of thing. if there are ways to increase the difficulty there, where the incline's always harder, thus making the shots harder or easier to drain. I'm very curious to see what he does with that. But I will agree with you, if that becomes a tool that people are spending way too much time in, it will quickly become not fun.
Oh, no doubt in my mind, they'll have a time limit on there. There's zero doubt. It has to be. I mean, I wouldn't see anything being any longer than 5 to 8 seconds.
It sounded like they were going to have like a bonus round where it was like a countdown.
Okay.
It sounded like
you get from weather's count you down. Yeah.
From the Saps, it was the Saps interview. It was Dwight said there were like 3 stages to each of the encounters, which is basically the mini playfield, and then there's like it sounded like a very short bonus thing but he said the bonus thing is where you get all the points. But like Joel was alluding to, the pitch of the premium will change. So
right.
That in that sense it'll create a lot of chaos.
I think that might cause chaos in more ways than one. I fear anything on a premium or an LE that moves. Like I always feel like it has the potential to break. And it's something like that. If that goes down, if your mini playfield stops working, it basically would break you out of a large part of the game.
True.
And so that's the other.
I don't think something like that would necessarily go down like
very easily.
Like a spinner on Led Zeppelin.
Led Zeppelin, yeah. You would hope that upper play. I mean, it's a big part. I agree, but I think what's interesting, I mean, obviously Brian Eddy made this game. Brian Eddy designed this game. So the first thing that popped in my mind was the battlefield on Shadow. You know, that is an upper playfield, but personally, I find it's pretty hard, and I understand the kind of breakout, really that kind of thing that shifts left to right. I'm not going to call it a flipper, like a pusher almost. It's unique to control, but I know when I owned Shadow, you know, you'd work to get up to the battlefield, and you could screw that up so quickly. So you know, do you guys personally, the battlefield on Shadow, I feel like it's a good difficulty. Do you agree with that or no?
Yeah, I think it just depends on the setup of the game. If it's, you know, if the pitch is steeper on it, it's going to be a lot faster. But, you know, again, just depends on the setup.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never seen anybody in tournament like pop it up on the battlefield and stay up there for 30 seconds straight, you know. But part of it is coded that way. You know, you hit the backdrop targets and they drop down and it kicks you off. So I don't know. I think there is a chance. I am very curious to see what they do with that playfield, whether it's the single level or the complex one. But I do think, I mean, they can do a lot with code there, where if you hit whatever you need to hit, you get to the point where it kills the flipper or something like that to get you out of it, instead of you just cranking up all these points forever.
Yeah, that's actually what Colin and I were talking about just the other day, that maybe there's something that would be coded into it to where if you either hit X amount of targets up there or you miss them, that maybe one flipper gets killed, to make it a little bit tougher during your encounter. Like you have an arm that is disabled or something like that, or you get hit down. You know, I would like to see stuff like that. I think definitely looking at that mini playfield, even with it moving up and down, I fully believe that you have to get very creative with your code overall, especially with how giant those flippers are on there. I mean, if you think carrot flippers on Mousing Around looks massive, I mean, it honestly looks like you could stay up there all day long, even if the playfield is moving. Because what would prevent you from just trapping up and then waiting for the mini playfield to do its thing? And then when it comes to its apex or to a place to where it makes the shot safe, then you go for your shot. Like, I feel like you could just do that over and over again as well. So,
but I think it's going to be coded so that, you know, from my understanding, from what I heard from Dwight's interview, was basically like the first level of it, you're going to hit like 2 targets and then 4 targets and then 6 targets, and then you're pretty much done. And, you know,
well, then there's bonus, like 10-second bonus, right?
Yeah, like a short bonus time. And then your flippers are more than likely, I think, going to die, or there's going to be no reason to be up there anymore.
Yeah.
Does it make other shots come up like across the playfield once you get off the mini playfield? They say anything about that?
I think no. I think because it's just an encounter, so I would assume from a story standpoint, like, you're done, like the encounter's over. So I think it's supposed to be a small kind of separate thing.
It did sound like you hit the left ramp twice, and then I think you hit it the first time. The second time it's lit, or it diverts your ball, and then, you know, once you're done with that area, you're not going back to it unless you know. But on the other side of it, it sounded like if you didn't complete it, it was still lit, so it would divert your ball back into it. So
I think you have a certain amount of time to get back on the left ramp to drop you back in, something like that.
I would just go ahead, Tom.
No,
I'll go ahead. We're being too nice. Okay, wait, are you going or am I going, Tom?
I can go. That's fine.
We're just two nice guys, and we still haven't gone into. Okay, so what I was trying to say is I think also too, I would be very surprised, but it seems like that they're not going this direction. That with Dwight being very into the, what do we say, the RPG? Is that or RGP? What is it even called?
RPG, right?
RPG.
Is that?
I think. I don't know. I need to let my nerdum come out more.
Role-playing game?
Yeah, that sounds about right. So if we were going by that and it's on that mini playfield, I would like to think, especially with all the video assets that are going to be in this game, that there would be some type of knockout blow after you get off that mini playfield. So say you exit the mini playfield and you got one final shot that's lit up, the light show's going nuts, the whole game is telling you to focus on this one shot, wherever it could be on the playfield, and then that's your final shot to hit. And
It'll
then
be the
game,
scoop.
yeah, of course. And then the game does its little thing, and then it shows your scene ending and shows Mando coming out, just victorious. I think that would be the way to do it.
It'll be
to me,
it'll be
that
the
makes more
scoop.
sense.
You have to hit it from the right flipper. The left flipper's dead. Yeah.
Okay. Well, this game's dead to me then. That's
No,
the case.
what I'm saying, here you are talking about the upper play field, like you're afraid it's going to be too easy, and all I hope is that you struggle, that you struggle with that upper play field.
When you look at it, it looks like the easiest upper play field in a long time. I can't think of it. Even if it moves, those flippers are so big.
I
don't see how
they're full size. Yeah.
Right.
No.
I don't see how somebody cannot control it. I think as long as you have a pulse and your eyes work properly, you'll be able to stay up there in that mini upper playfield for a while. I honestly believe that. Joel, I even think you will be able to stay up there
That's
for a
really
while.
high praise. Yeah, thank you. I just, like I said, all I hope is that you struggle because for whatever reason, and you make some excuse. But I will tell you, like in Deadpool, that knockout blow, you got the light show pointing you right towards the scoop. You hit the scoop, you get a great animation, you feel great. I agree. I that's actually really smart. Don't let the encounter end at the upper play field. Qualify it, hit your shots on the upper play field, kick your ball out, and then have to end it hitting something else on the play field would be pretty cool. I think.
Yeah,
I think
it just seems like an opportunity to take advantage of more of the space that you have underneath that glass. And to me, if you're going to make a game that's fun to play, you want to take advantage of as much of the playfield as possible. And you want to make, to me, those encounters would mean so much more if, just like you said, Joel, if we're qualifying things up there and then we're able to come back down and use the entire game to finish that particular encounter off. I just feel like that would be a bigger moment, and it lends itself a lot more for Dwight to do what he does best and for him to take advantage of what Brian Eddy has created out there.
Sure. So with that, that's the whole upper right back playfield.
But I'm going to solve Travis's problem
go
here.
Ahead, go ahead. Yeah.
Just take out the left flipper and disable the motor.
Oh, wow.
On the premium?
Yeah. Give yourself only one flipper. Yeah, go ahead, Travis. Yeah.
That's some shit Josh Sharp would do. Games at Nationals.
That way it'll take you 3 weeks to beat the game set too.
No, Josh would be like, mini playfield is going to be upside down, guys.
So my question is,
disabled.
that's the upper right side of the playfield. I think looks pretty cool. My bigger concern is the upper left side of the playfield. You got these 5 rollovers, Grogu's back there, and 2 pop bumpers. I'm really curious how, and then you got the premium LE. There's a magnet in there, and I don't really know yet how they're going to use the magnet. But maybe that's the question. Your initial thoughts of that section, and then if you were Dwight, how do you code that section to be like a really enjoyable aspect of the game?
Tom, you want to go first on this one?
No, you take it.
Okay, I will totally go. Okay, so I figured this out when I was looking closely at the playfield, because I was saying the same thing, Joel, that there was 5 rollovers up top, but it looks like there's actually only 4.
There is only 4.
Yeah. Okay, so apparently at Stern, they wanted to really spell out child, but they only wanted 4 rollovers. So I cannot remember the last game in which they had more letters up there than actual rollovers.
So it's chill. It's just chill.
Yeah, it's just chill. Yeah.
Chill.
So
Yeah,
you want to hit the chill rollovers. And honestly, I don't know how the D gets qualified in that case. I've been trying to figure that one out. And this is a mystery to me. And I haven't asked anybody at Stern, but everybody I've talked to that is not a Stern employee, nobody has any idea how the D gets qualified.
I would assume the flippers would move the inserts around.
You just move the light, is what you're saying. Okay.
Right. That's exactly right. But so does that mean that there's just a random insert up there in which you never actually qualified that particular insert? Like you have to qualify part of the chill and then you just move the light over to the D?
I don't. Well, the chill,
My
the
guess
C
is
is
yes.
the orbit, right?
Yeah. The C, I'm looking at the picture right now. The C, H, and I and L, they all have switches underneath them. The D does not. The D, and I don't know why I keep calling it the D. I'm just going to call it the D. We're just going to go with this. So the D portion is right up against the post, and it's right to the left of another arrow insert.
Yeah, it's
So right by that center ramp. So
right.
I mean, it just kind of looks like it's just lost out there. I mean, it's just like, I don't know. I don't understand. I don't understand it. It feels like that just had to be put in there because it is the child.
It needs to be rescued like the child.
Yeah. Yeah, apparently. Well, that's my biggest worry up top too, is that you can't even see the I, L, or D if you're standing there at the pinball machine. I'm really worried about that. And I don't like things being obstructed that you have to rely on visually seeing. And that's the way it seems. Like, do you guys think you can be able to see the I, L, D in child if you're playing the game?
I feel like there's a tall joke in here somewhere, but
No, like
not-
honestly,
Yeah, I mean, I
don't you could.
I don't think it'll be an issue.
it's not like the PKE targets all the way in the back of Ghostbusters. I mean, it's not that far back, right?
I'm kind of getting those vibes because it's not all the way back, right?
Yeah.
But that Razor Crest toy is right there. Like right smack dab in the middle of the playfield. And I'm just wondering what that looks like if you're standing there. I could be just totally off base and you could probably see right over that toy. But just from the looks of it, I'm kind of curious if those rollovers are actually hidden behind that. And
Well,
you can't actively see them.
When I was talking to Jordan and Becca with Fliptronic about this, there was a big question of one, do you think you will be able to change the insert or the rollover lights with your flippers? I would assume you would, but it brings a question. If you do, then what's the point of the magnet on the premium and LE? Because the magnet is supposed to like throw some, craziness. So it's like if you can't change the rollovers, then you're almost like relying on the magnet to hopefully throw the ball in the direction you want to go. But I feel like that would probably piss a bunch of people off if they just keep chucking the ball up there waiting for one rollover to finally happen.
Yeah, that would be odd. I really think the magnet, I wish it was tied into the action button where you could do something to where you're powering up Grogu to use the force, and then you have to time it just right to where you basically just use your action button like a Magna save, except it's all the way at the top. Stop the ball right there, and then you could have like some sort of super jackpot built into a blinking rollover up there. I mean, I think that would be really cool if that was able to get coded in. I don't know if that's possible though, but I don't know. That's about the only things I can think of up top.
I'm with you. The magnet, to me, when you're playing the game of Pro versus Premium, it's like, okay, that playfield looks like a ton of fun, but I was really happy to see that there is kind of a playfield that instead of an upper playfield, it's built in, but it's still there. It's only one flipper. Like, I feel like that's a solid compromise. It's not like they completely removed it from the game, but the magnet, I just don't. There wasn't anything there that was like, well, I got to go premium for the magnet. I have no idea what that magnet does. So that is definitely a wait and see with the code, what they're going to do with that magnet to see what it, is it really just eye candy at that point? Is it just, oh, the ball stopped, or is it going to actually do something? I don't know, but I'm looking forward to it.
What do you think, Tom? Anything left on the chill rollovers?
No, wait to play it. I mean, I still think you're going to have to, I wonder if it's just going to be a light that moves over and you got to get the lit light. Who knows? But
Now, do you want your Grogu to move on your LE?
no, I don't care about that.
You don't want it to move at all.
I could have it. I mean, okay, yeah, it'd be nice if it moved, but
Like if there's a
probably
mod
be a
that comes
distraction too.
out, if there's a mod that comes out to move that little SOB underneath that glass, are you going to get that mod?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, so he wants Grogu to move, Joel. There you go.
I mean, I don't mind. Yeah, it's not like, to me, I don't need Grogu to bend over, pick up the ball, and eat it. I don't need that. But it's like the idea of having him blink or his head move like that, yeah, I mean, that would be a cool. It doesn't add to the aspect. It would just be cool decor. You know, think about if you had that game on location. If Grogu's head moved or blinked, like kids, I think kids are already going to go nuts for this game. But you add in a little bit of that, it would only increase the appeal of the game. But
no, it would have been awesome if that would have happened. But at the same time, too, I think some people are taking it to extremes, though, in terms of disappointment. You know what I mean? It's like some of the people I talk to out there, it's almost as if they really believe Grogu should just come alive under that glass, walk across the playfield, over the ramps, over everything, and probably grab the ball out of the shooter lane. I mean, that's the vibe I get from some people.
The negative comments of Grogu doesn't move, or that the Razor Crest should have been the upper playfield, or the Razor Crest should have been huge, or proportions aren't the correct between the Razor Crest. It's like, I don't care.
What?
Like
people wanted a proportional Razor Crest?
Yeah,
do they know how big that ship is?
Well,
let's say that ship is real. That ship is not fitting in a pinball machine. Like, what size do they want it to be?
I think it would be more if the ship is going to be, let's say the ship was the upper playfield, so it was that big, it took up that much of the playfield, then they would expect Grogu to be a small figure, not a towering piece in the corner. I don't agree with them. I'm just repeating. Because you can compare that to like Simpsons. You got Homer's head, which is obnoxiously huge in the back of Simpsons, and then you have the entire living room in the upper left. Like, I don't agree. I think Simpsons is great. That doesn't bother me at all. It doesn't.
Yeah,
but some people.
Each section is like its own little thing, because if we wanted everything to be at scale, then everybody needs to take their Grogu out of the game and just go to Walmart and get the little 2-inch figurine and just put it back there.
Yeah. Though this game will be littered with figurines and whatnot, but
oh my gosh, I can't stand those mods. Tom, you don't do that, do you?
Only on Tron.
Oh my gosh, Joel, do you know what I'm talking about? Do you two know what I'm talking about with the
where you just,
little figurines?
Yeah,
that drives me crazy. Does it not drive you guys crazy?
I'm not a big fan of it.
It's not for my games, but at the end of the day, it's your game. Do what you want. There are people with Deadpool that they've added action figures of. They'll add a shark back in the corner and a T-Rex back in the corner. They feel, or Turtles is a perfect example. The amount of people that have taken Turtles action figures and put it in their games. If that makes you happy, you do you. But nah, it's not.
I mean, I'm all for everybody doing what they want with their pinball machine. But I also feel like if I was there playing their game, I would tell them, okay, I would set them down. And I would say, okay, guys, let's huddle up here and think about this. We have a $6,000 machine, sometimes even a $10,000. If it's Mando, you have a $15,000 machine. Okay. If it's Guns N' Roses, you have a $20,000 machine.
Pirates?
If it's Pirates, you have like a $40,000. Yeah, we could go all day long. But I would set this person down. I'd be like, okay, we really I would feel like Tom Hanks on League of Their Own, when he's having like that meltdown.
There's no modding in pinball.
Yeah. How she keeps like missing the cutoff, and she just keeps chunking the ball. That's the type of breakdown I would have. I would just be like, why do we need to put figurines in places where it doesn't look natural to have figurines? Like, you could tell you just went to Walmart and bought an $8 figurine to put on this game. It never looks right to me at all. The only time that it's ever looked right is just what Tom said earlier, was Tron. And that's about it. All the other times, I don't know. It just, like, when I see pictures of it on the internet, it kind of like, it makes my eye twitch. I'm not going to lie. It just throws me off.
So the reality is, you would set them down. You'd say, hey, let's take the glass off. Let's rip all this stuff out there, and then let's together hit every switch so we can learn what they all do. That's what you'd want to. Yeah, that's what you'd want to do with them. Yes. But
I just hope I hope every pro owner puts a bunch of stuff on those crossover ramps just for Travis.
You could have like Ewoks just hanging off the habit trails.
No, I hope they put figures directly in front of the. I hope they put action figures directly in front of the chill targets. You can't even see them even more. Yeah.
I'm trying.
That's
Okay, I'm good.
I would love to say, like, hey, listeners of the
thinking about that.
podcast, please send pictures of your playfield with your action figures too. But we don't have any. But we don't have an email.
Oh,
We don't have an
gosh.
email,
On the
but you
record,
can
yeah.
send them to the Pinball Show.
Yeah, send them to the Pinball Show or
Directly to Dennis.
Eclectic Gamers. Yeah, Eclectic Gamers podcast. Dennis would love those. Yeah.
There's some mod company out there right now that's making itty bitty Ewoks that they were just like, this is a brilliant idea. I'm just going to make these little hanging Ewok stickers to put on the habit of Mandalorian, bro.
And if they do make them, somebody feel free to buy them and send them to Travis. He will put them on it. If he receives them, I'm signing him up. If he receives them from somebody, he will put them on his game.
Okay, I'm sorry. Just the thought of Ewoks being on any pinball machine, let alone being a mod, is just too much for me to handle right now.
Well,
But no, I agree though. Those ramps though on Mandalorian Pro, or I say I agree, like somebody said this already. This is just what I think. You guys can agree with me if you want.
yeah,
I don't like the look of the
No.
habit
plastic
ramp.
ramps.
Yeah, I feel like they're very distracting on the Pro.
You know, I'm looking at my X-Men LE right now, and it's got that movable ramp, and I'm just thinking, like, when that thing crosses over, it looks really funny.
Yeah.
Do we?
And to have two of them like that,
Yeah.
would just
Well, so my initial thought was Taxi. Like Taxi has two crisscrossing, but they're metal, and I don't
they're
feel like they
habit
get in
trails.
the weight. They're visibly not a big deal. But do you know of a game that has a plastic ramp that goes across the middle of the playfield like that?
transporter. That's about it. But that's in the middle of the playfield, and maybe Bally Lost World, Escape from the Lost World. That has a
I don't know.
crossover.
And is it visually like distracting? Would you say?
The one on
yes and no, but they're
Transporter-
in the back. They're more towards the middle back, not
Yeah,
towards
the one in
front.
Transporter isn't at all since it's towards the back. But this is the first pinball machine I can think of where it leads right back to an end lane. I can't think of any other ones with plastic that leads
Well,
back
all I
to an
can
end lane.
all I
It's
can
that
say
close.
is if they released a mod, if they $200, boom, you can buy the metal rails, for a premium. I feel like they'd sell extremely well because and if they don't, if Stern doesn't, it wouldn't surprise me if somebody found a way to retrofit it and provide some sort of. But I'm with you. That was one of the first things I saw. Like those are right there, and they're kind of bulky.
I'd like to be
Yeah.
a fly on the wall at Stern, and when they're in these cost cutting meetings, and they're like, well, we could just take the habit trails out and put plastic across.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost, if that was metal right there on the Pro, I think the Pro would have been a no-brainer.
Yeah.
So part of me always wonders if they make decisions based off trying to push more premiums, because obviously for this type of game, premiums are probably going to sell like hotcakes. Like it would not surprise me one bit if they outsold pros 5-1 easily. And the pros even loaded though. Like don't get me wrong, even with that,
Pro
the
looks
Pro
great.
is still loaded. It's just I don't know visually until I actually get to see it in person, which I should here in just a couple of weeks because I know locally we're getting a Pro. It just from the pictures and from the video, it just something just seems off to me seeing those plastic ramps going across the playfield. Like I like on the pictures how it seems like Moff Gideon's sword actually goes
Lines
well
up with it.
yeah, it's symmetrical, so that part's cool. I just wonder if you play your game a ton and you start to see ball trails. I'm not a big fan of seeing ball trails across your pinball playfield, especially on a ramp. I don't think I would like that too much.
No.
True. I definitely think, it sounds like if we fast forward 3 months, we're going to know whether or not there's wear and tear on those. We're going to know how reliable the upper playfield mech is, in the premium and LE. We're going to know, I'd hope that drop down shot, which is pretty sick. I'm not going to lie, on the premium, that drop down shot where it's kind of a 2-for-1 shot where it'll
Like the horseshoe.
Yeah, I hope that's real. I think it's an awesome shot. I think that's a really cool mech that I hope is well utilized. There's a lot of that, and I don't know. I'm a pro buyer. I haven't ever had to run into those issues, but yeah, when you look at the LEs and the premiums and LEs of the last 5-6 games, almost every one of them has had some sort of mech issue. But that, I mean, to Stern's credit, they usually find a resolution for it in some way. But yeah, that was the ramps are definitely. I mean, all we're looking at right now is pictures. We have a little bit of video, but we really won't know until we stand in front of it how bad or good those look.
What do you think, Tom?
Terrible.
Tom.
Terrible.
What an LE snob. Oh my gosh.
If Tom can't see his reflection in the back box, it's not a pinball machine he wants to own. He's got to have that mirror. He's got to have that mirror.
No, honestly, I think the Pro's a good buy, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It's
I agree.
tempting. Yeah, it's funny.
I just don't get why they did the plastic and not the habit trails, the cost cut. I just don't get that.
Yeah, the plastic is the one thing that's stopping me from getting a Pro. If it was wired, I'd be getting a Pro for sure. But that's what's giving me pause. So I need to see it in person before deciding which one I want to get. But I'm leaning heavily towards the premium though, for that reason alone.
What if Stern was between like, all right, we can put metal habit trails, but then you're going to have, instead of a Grogu plastic sculpt, you're going to have just a piece of plastic back there with Grogu or something, like if they took out something, if they're going to add the mech there, they're going to have to take something else away. So, we'll put that there, but there's no Razor Crest in the middle of the play field. Would you make that trade off or no? You don't think?
I mean, me
Go
personally, I would prefer that, but I know obviously that's not necessarily what the casual player would sell to them.
Yeah.
There's not too many casuals that I talk to that are really overly concerned about geometry of a play field and how it relates to their shots and visually how it would feel seeing the ball come back. I don't hear them talking about that often. They mostly talk about what toys and what gimmicks are in it.
Oh yeah.
That's what I hear a lot of.
You think about obviously a Pro, a lot of the goal there is to get those out on location, but you think about a track mode, like you got the Razor Crest right there in the middle of the field. You got Grogu in the corner. On a premium though, that play field's going to be tilted straight up and down, with lights going off. I mean, anybody walking by that's going to be like, that's, how do I do that? Or they're going to want to get the ball back in near Grogu's magnet to see if he bends over and eats it, which obviously he won't. But I think just from a track mode standpoint, this game is going to claim a lot of quarters. That's for sure. There's going to be a lot of people putting money into this machine.
Yeah, it'll be a beast on location, no doubt.
Yeah. Well, guys, I just looked up at the clock. I just saw we're at about an hour. And I don't know how much people want to listen to us. I don't know how long you guys
not anymore.
Already announced. Yeah, well, we announced within 15 seconds we're the number one podcast. So
yeah, number one off the record, on the record, setting records.
Go. Yeah, all day.
Yeah, that's it. So yeah, I don't know how we wrap this up. I thought we were going to go for an abrupt ending, which would have been so funny if you just cut it right there. But
I mean, I think pretty much we can, right?
We can. I was just going to say real quick introductions. My name's Joel Engelberth. I'm happy to be on this. I do Just Another Pinball podcast and Just Another Pinball stream. Go ahead, guys.
I'm Travis, and I'm from Marv Loco, and I enjoy pinball.
And I'm Tom Graf, and I'm from Fox Cities Pinball. And you can find me on Twitch and YouTube. Just look up Fox Cities Pinball.
Well, there you go. And we're recording this. We'll see if people enjoy the conversation, the joking around, and if this is well received, maybe we'll do it again. But
and then again, maybe not.
Yeah, maybe this is a limited edition off the record on the record podcast. Yeah.
I like it. I like it a lot. All right. Well, I appreciate you guys. This has been a fun conversation.
Yeah, thanks. Have a good night, everybody.
Abrupt ending, go.